Good morning. Kate here, bringing you this week's Monday mission. This one is all about overcomplicating things, how we overcomplicate different situations. And the irony is that this is the fourth time I'm doing this video. So I'm already overcomplicating the video about overcomplication. So the reason that this even came to my mind as something to talk about is Brooks came to me the other day and said, Mommy, my finger hurts when I move it this way. And I was like, well, then don't move it that way. Right? Super parenting, like winning at parenting, super simple solution. Well, then don't move your finger that way. Right? Really simple response. He was fine, by the way. But typically, my brain does the exact opposite. I super overcomplicate whatever's going on. So I'm going to give you a few scenarios and tell you a story to show what I mean. And then we will look at what's kind of underneath when we overcomplicate and then what we can do instead. That'll be our mission. All right. So another story I'm going to tell you displays perfectly how I overcomplicate most situations in life. So we, during the pandemic, our school was offering free lunches for families. Anybody that wanted to come and pick up lunches, they were able to get as many as they needed. And a few of the moms in the neighborhood had coordinated going and picking up these lunches and bringing them to anyone in the neighborhood that wanted them, right? And so they had included me in this offer to go and pick up lunches. And I overcomplicated it to the point where it was exhausting. So, simple solution, right? The equivalent of don't move your finger that way would have been for me to just say no thank you. And here's why. Okay? I knew that my kids weren't going to eat it, right? They packed their lunch. They just like to eat the stuff that we have at home. I knew that they weren't going to eat probably most of what was sent, right? Um, and it's not the healthiest stuff, right? I just, some of the things they probably would want, but I don't know that I would necessarily want them to have them, right? So not the healthiest of stuff and choices to have. So my mind made it overcomplicated. If I say no, then they're going to think that I'm too good for free lunches, right? They're going to think I'm judging them for taking the free lunch, right? So I can't say no, thank you, because then, right, what are they going to think? Well, if I say yes and then I take the lunches and I have to throw it away because I know the kids aren't going to eat it, that's even worse because that's just wasting food and from another family that needs it, right? Or if I, take the food, can I donate it? Is someone else going to take it? How are you going to donate during a pandemic? Right? This is where my mind goes, right? Completely spiraled, overcomplicated instead of just saying no, thank you. All right. So I think we do this a lot. I know I do it a lot. If you relate to this, I hope you share if this kind of resonates with you. So I'm going to give you some examples of how else this might show up where we overcomplicate, right? So I ended up, if you're like hanging on the edge of your seat, I ended up taking the lunches the first time. Boys did not eat hardly any of it. So I had to toss it. And then I just said, no, thank you, because I realized it was just, I didn't want to waste the food and whatever. So anyway, some examples that show how we overcomplicate things. So let's say that you find yourself feeling really, really crappy after you see someone's Facebook page or Instagram, right? Like you're kind of finding yourself being jealous of what their house looks like or the clothes that they wear or the stuff they do with their kids or, because we all show the highlight reel, right? So let's just say for whatever reason, this particular person that you follow, you just feel really crappy after scrolling their page, right? The simple solution would be what? Just unfollow them or don't look at their page, right? But our brain wants to overcomplicate it. Well, if I don't look at their page, then they're going to know that I'm not looking or they're going to know that I unfollowed them. And then what's that say about me? And I should just be able to handle it. I should be able to deal with it if somebody has something that I wish that I had, right? What's wrong with me that I can't just deal with it and get over it, right? We overcomplicate it instead of just being like, I'm not going to follow their page anymore, right? Super simple solution. Let's say that you know that you feel really gross and bloated when you eat pizza, okay? Simple solution, then don't eat pizza, right? But our brain is going to overcomplicate it, okay? Well, let's say that you don't like eating in the lunchroom at work. because I don't know, there's a lot of gossip. It's just kind of like really negative, really draining, just not something that you want to spend your time on and want to be a part of, right? A super simple solution is just to not eat a lunchroom. But your brain is going to tell you a story about that. It's going to want to overcomplicate it. Let's say that whenever you go out for a girls' night with your girlfriends, you drink wine, and then the next day you are like hungover, headache, completely like groggy, don't get anything done, and you hate feeling that way, right? Super simple solution is to just not drink the wine when you go out with your girlfriends, right? But your brain is going to overcomplicate it, right? So here's how your brain might do that. It's going to tell yourself a story, right? So I kind of explained what the story your brain might offer you for the Facebook example. Let's say for the pizza example. So you tell yourself, I feel gross and bloated when I have pizza. Okay, don't eat pizza. But your brain's going to be like, but, but you want pizza. And everybody gets pizza when we go out Friday night. It's what we do as a family. And if you don't get pizza, then are you going to punish them for not eating, not letting them eat pizza because of how you feel? But your brain is going to tell you this whole story and overcomplicate it. But what that story will tell you is what's the underlying issue, right? So in that case, it's the underlying fear of deprivation, right? Feeling deprived, and that you can't have something that everyone else is having, right? The kind of fear of missing out. The lunchroom example. If you don't want to eat in the lunchroom with everyone because they're just super negative, gossip about everybody, you really don't want to be a part of it, your simple solution is don't eat in the lunchroom. But your brain's going to tell you, oh, well, if you don't eat in the lunchroom, they're going to think that you think that you're better than them, right? Or that you're too good to eat lunch with them. Your brain is going to offer this story. And what you can do is look at that story and find that the underlying fear, right, is your worry about your image and how others see you. Okay. Or also fear of isolation, not being included. Okay. Similarly, with drinking wine with your girlfriends when you go out for girls' night, the simple solution is just don't drink wine, right? But your brain's going to offer you this story. They're going to think I'm a prude. They're going to make fun of me. They're going to maybe stop inviting me because I'm not as much fun if I'm not having wine or whatever. And then the underlying fear there is, again, not feeling included, not being connected, losing that social connection, right? And so this overcomplicated story that your brain is going to tell you, that's where the good stuff is. That's where all the data is. That's where you can really look and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to feel deprived if I don't have pizza when I go out. So how can I work on those feelings of deprivation? What's the thought work that I can do there, right? How can I manage my mind around what other people at work might think about me if I don't eat in the lunchroom? How can I manage my mind around what I worry my friends are going to think if I stop drinking wine when I go out with them? Okay, so that overcomplication, recognize it, right? Don't get sucked into it and spiral out in it. Recognize it and try to figure out what the story is that's going on there and what is underlying. What is the really where you need to do the work, right? Okay, so that is our mission, is to stop overcomplicating, right? Figure out what the simple solution is, and then when your brain goes but and tells you a story, look at that story and find out what is underlying it, right? And then that's where you need to do the work. That's where you need to manage your mind. Okay, so that's our mission. Should you choose to accept it, is to stop overcomplicating it this week, right? If your finger hurts when you move it a certain way, just don't move it that way, right? All right, and our journal prompt is going to be, what am I overcomplicating? Okay, so this will prompt you to kind of think of scenarios or situations during the week that come up for you where you're like, you're really overcomplicating this, right? Like, what's going on? What is the story that your brain is offering you? Okay, and that's where the work is. So that's our journal prompt, is what am I overcomplicating? All right, so as always, share with me what comes up for you and how you related to this, or if this resonates with you, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.